loved. It wasn't only that she was singing. Her camera was up at her eye, being turned from landscape to portrait and back again, so as to capture silhouettes of the nestled and darkening settlement lying below, set against the metal glow of the sea. The sun went down fast on the island, and its setting was brief and fatal. Magic might become manifest here, if a person can only be alert to it, she'd said in the postcard that she'd written a few minutes before. She'd been profoundly unwell by then. An island is a world, she wrote, though this is an untypically perfect one. This world is a family, and even its housing's democratic. She wanted to read The Tempest. Earlier that day she'd rummaged through the books on the English stall at the market, wondering if the universe might provide, but nobody takes Shakespeare on holiday. The Isle is full of noises, she had said, on first arriving at the viewpoint, having walked the long, slow incline from the harbour side. There were swallows, bats, the occasional flying insect blundering about, human voices rising up and magnified, a tiny scooter making its bee hum on the coast road. The teenage boys liked to circumnavigate at this time of day. A journey that took less than an hour, their white lights tracking and overtaking one another. She'd taken out her camera. She'd begun to sing the song. So Nina wasn't paying attention to the possibility of the bus, but nor was Andros paying attention to the possibility of Nina. He was looking for goats. They could be hard to see on this, the last journey of the day down from the upper village, especially if he was running half an hour late, as he was today for trivial reasons, and he'd tried, in the past, to abolish this last run, but the women who tended the gardens, most assertively his wife, Olympia, had protested. After the accident, when Andros lost his nerve, they had to make the argument again. They needed to go up to the allotments, they said, and needed to get home again, and it was ludicrous to make them use their cars. Not all of them even had cars. What? Were they going to have to take their cars up there and leave them in the sun all afternoon? It didn't make sense. He was just going to have to grit his teeth and carry on. Andros was almost on top of the goat when he realized it was there, a big brown billy goat with a defiant goat expression, rotating its jaw and chewing. An immediate decision needed to be made. There wasn't quite enough room to pass on the left. If he went that way, he'd scrape along the hillside wall, but there was plenty of space at the other side, without having to venture too near to the edge and its sheer drop. He veered to the right, and that's when he saw Nina. Unaware of the goat's role, it was hard for Nina to make sense of what was happening. The minibus was coming right at her, but in a pause that might have been catastrophic, she saw Andros realize she was standing there, his eyes widening and mouth mutely cursing. Luckily, they had compatible instincts. She threw herself backwards to his left, as Andros veered further to the right, though their actions weren't quite enough for them to avoid one another, and so as her legs rose into the air, the bus clipped her hard between knee and ankle. She felt it break, her right leg, heard the snap, the impact travelling through her cells, passing the bad news through her nervous system. Her head bounced against the road, and then her back, and her vision pulsed and darkened, narrowing rapidly inside a dark borderline. There was a rumble that she heard through her spine, a bang, a pause, a series of thumps, and then far-off-sounding shouts. Puzzled goat faces peered down as blackness eliminated the sky, and she was unconscious until, unquantifiable minutes later, she half opened her eyes and saw Andros looking down at her, and ambulance personnel preparing to lift her, saying her name, and there was pain that returned like a whip. Because the island's own facility had no surgical wing, Nina was taken across the bay on the boat to Main Island and to the ugly 1970s-built hospital in the town. By the time the long, hearse-like vehicle got her over the water, by special arrangement with the ferry, which had been tied up for the day,